Hi everybody, welcome to my very first video of 2025. Today is New Year's Day. I'm really excited because I'm excited to start a brand new month, a brand new year, tackle a brand new TBR, which is what I'm doing today. I'm starting my January TBR. I have 8 books for this particular TBR, so that's a little bit more than I usually would be able to do. I usually can read maybe 5 or 6 books a month, but I'm really challenging myself this month, so I'm really excited. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, and let's go through my TBR. Okay, so the very first book on my TBR is Beautiful Ugly by Alice Sweeney. I do have the physical version of this book. It's not out yet. It actually comes out January 14th. I got this through Book of the Month last month, so I'm excited to dive into that. I've never read any Alice Sweeney's before. I've heard that she's a very gripping author. She writes a lot of thrillers and mysteries. It's very on the edge of your seat. It's very exciting, kind of staying up late trying to finish her books kind of vibe. That's what I've heard. So I'm really excited to dive into that. This book is about a man named Grady. He's married to Abby. He's on the phone with Abby while she's driving home. He hears her slam on the brakes of her car. She gets out of the car and then nothing. He doesn't hear from her again. He later finds her abandoned car. She's nowhere to be found. Her keys, her purse, everything is in her car, but she's gone. A year goes by. She's still missing. He decides to go and grieve off the coast of Scotland on an island, a remote island, I think. And while he's there, he sees somebody who looks an awful lot like Abby. So it sounds really good. I'm really excited to start reading it. If you've seen the movie, it's called Sleeping with the Enemies with Julia Roberts. It sounds a lot like that. In that movie, she is escaping her abusive husband. I don't know if the main character of this is an abusive husband, but very similar vibes. So I'm really excited to read it. The second book on my January TBR is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I think this one came out back in 2020, so I think I'm a little late to the game on this one. I'm just going to go ahead and read the back. It says, an exclusive wedding on a remote Irish island, which is funny because Beautiful Ugly is a Scottish island and this is an Irish island, so there's a bit of a theme. The bride, the plus one, the best man, the wedding planner, the bridesmaid, all have a secret, all have a motive, but only one is a murderer. So I feel like it sounds like a really good, easy thriller. This will be my first Lucy Foley. I do have The Paris Apartment. I think it's called The Hunting Party, but I'm really excited to read that one. So that's number 2 on my January TBR. The third book on my January TBR is Beartown by Frederick Backman. I do have the physical copy of this one as well. This one I think it came out in 2016. I think it's the first of a series. I think there's 2 other books after this one. I've read Frederick Backman before. I've read Anxious People. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I didn't really care about the characters that much. I didn't care about where they were going. I didn't care for the plot much. I appreciated the plot. I just didn't care for it. I did like the writing style, so I'm looking forward to reading another one of his books and seeing if I like it. Beartown is about this town in Sweden. They're obsessed with ice hockey. Their junior ice hockey team has a chance to win the semifinals, which is a really big deal because if they win the semifinals, then I guess the ice hockey league will build an ice hockey academy in the town, which will boost the economy of the town. So it's kind of like a heavy burden on the boys of this town. I think that there's a lot of side stories of the boys on the team just throughout the book. I think that there's some kind of assault on a young girl in this town and it kind of divides the town. So that's what this is about. Apparently it's sad, but it's apparently a really good winter read, which is why I wanted to read it in January. Number 4 on my January TBR is The Sanatorium by Sarah Peirce. I received this for my birthday this year, so I have been meaning to get to it. This is another thriller. I think this is maybe the last thriller on my TBR because I don't want to have too many thrillers. I want to kind of diversify a little bit. This was released in 2020. It is a thriller mystery. This takes place in the Swiss Alps. So far, all of the books I've mentioned do take place in Europe. The first one was Scotland, then Ireland, then Sweden, and then now Switzerland. So that's kind of funny. This is about Ellen, who is a detective. She's on vacation at her brother's engagement party at a hotel in the Swiss Alps. This hotel used to be a sanatorium. Don't know how the sanatorium aspect fits into this, but apparently the first night that she arrives, there's a big storm, and so all access to the hotel is completely blocked off. Nobody can come or go. And I guess the next morning, her brother's fiance goes missing. So she uses her detective skills to kind of get into that. So I feel like it sounds like a really good wintry type thriller. It's just in the Swiss Alps, it's in the snow. There's a big storm, and it's just kind of like a whodunit kind of scenario. So I'm excited about that. Number 5 on my January TBR is The Love Elixir of Augusta Stern. I got this one through Book of the Month in September. It came out in October though. So this is my first historical fiction of the month. It's also a little bit of romance, a little bit of magical realism. This is about Augusta. She is retired. She's 80 years old. She's living in Florida. She bumps into Irving, who is an old love interest from 60 years ago. So I guess this is a bit of a non-linear timeline where it goes back and forth between present day Florida and then 1920s Brooklyn, which is where Augusta lived. And her dad owned a pharmacy, and so she used to help out in the pharmacy, and she learned how to be a pharmacist. Her aunt practiced a little bit of magic with herbs and potions and elixirs. So Augusta, who is dating Irving, she gives him this love elixir, and then I guess something goes horribly wrong. And now 60 years later, she's bumped back into him, and she wants to know if he really did love her or if it was the love elixir. So I'm excited to read this one. This one was actually nominated for Best Historical Fiction on Goodreads Choice Awards. I don't read a lot of historical fiction magical realism. I usually just read historical fiction or magical realism, so it's kind of nice to have them both put together. So I'm looking forward to it. 6th book is The Third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop. She is definitely most well known for her role of Emily Gilmore on Gilmore Girls. I plan on listening to this one on audiobook because I really want to hear her narrate it. I love Kelly Bishop. I just think that she's fantastic. She's my favorite character in Gilmore Girls. So I'm really looking forward to that. This was released in September 2024. It is the Goodreads Choice Award winner for favorite memoir of 2024. So you know it's got to be good. I'm really excited to listen to this one. It's not at my library yet, so I might actually get the Audible for this one because I kind of don't want to wait. Number 7 is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I am so tired of hearing everybody talk about this book, this series, and I have no idea what everyone's talking about. I'm jumping on the bandwagon. I really want to read it. So I'm starting with Fourth Wing. I know that the 3rd book, Onyx Storm, comes out in January, so I'm hoping to read this, love it, read the next one, and then pick up Onyx Storm, and then I can kind of just be in line with everybody as they're talking about it, because I feel like I'm missing out. I feel like I'm really missing out on this. I don't read a lot of fantasy, but I really always want to. Every time I have read fantasy, I do enjoy it. I just don't gravitate towards fantasy that much, but I'm hoping to change that this year. The 8th and final book of my January TBR is none other than Funny Story by Emily Henry. I cannot put into words how excited I am to read this book. I have only ever read one other Emily Henry book, which is Beach Read. I liked it. I thought it was cute. It wasn't like groundbreaking in any way, but I don't think it was supposed to be. But it was a fun, easy, beach read. But I've heard that people who aren't even like that big of a fan of Emily Henry, I've heard that they love Funny Story. I also heard it's really good on audiobook, so I'm kind of thinking I might get audiobook and listen to it at the same time I'm reading this. I feel like that would be really fun. This book is also being adapted into a movie. I don't think there's a release date yet, but I know that Emily Henry is apparently writing the script for it, which is really exciting because I feel like when the author writes the script, it's always so much better. I don't think there's any actors who have been contracted yet to play any of the characters, but Emily Henry did release her dream cast. She wants Camila Morone from Daisy Jones and the Six to play Daphne. She wants Logan Lerman from Perks of Being a Wallflower to play Miles, Glenn Powell to play Peter, and then she didn't list who would play the other characters, but she did say she would like Megan Fahey, Hilary Duff, Jenna Fisher, Jennifer Coolidge, and Dennis Quaid to be in the film. So I feel like that's a star-studded cast. I'm so excited. So I'm really, really looking. I might choose this one as like the first one I'm going to read for sure is going to be Beautiful Ugly, but I might read this one next just because I'm so excited for it. So those are all of the books on my January TBR for this year. I'm really excited to dive into a whole nother year of reading. See you in the next video.